I am the daughter of Audrey Smith, who christened the original Bluenose, and she was the daughter of Richard Smith of the partnership Smith and Rowland, of the shipyard Smith and Rowland. She was 1921, and she apparently went and bought a very new outfit because it was going to be quite an event. And she went on board to christen. She was not on a platform. She christened from the bow, so she had to climb up the side of the vessel. And that was just a gangplank. If you look at some of the pictures, there's like 2 planks that went up, and it was quite high. And I guess I have a copy of a postcard that she wrote. She wrote her to her Aunt Carrie and said, "Can you imagine me, the only woman on here? Did you say nervous? Well, I should say so. If you look hard enough," and the postcard was a picture of the christening, "if you look hard enough, you will see Uncle Angus, then me, and Papa," meaning her father, "bending over, helping me on board." Anyway, she, was up at the very front of the bow, at the bow of the vessel, and christened it and went down the ways. And as I say, I've looked at pictures. I think there probably were maybe about 50 people on board the vessel. And it was a big event. This is a picture of her with Senator Duff, which I think was taken actually after the christening. And these are some of the ribbons that would have been on the champagne bottle. In reviewing kind of the history of the christening and launching of the original Bluenose, I was told this story by Heather Getson, who at that time was a curator at the Fisheries Museum. And she was able to review the minutes of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, the WCTU, which was a very powerful organization in town. There were some women, don't forget women were very strong in Lunenburg. And they apparently, the evils of alcohol, they were going to suggest to the powers that be, I'm sure to Angus and my grandfather and a few other people, that the champagne should not be used. Only grape juice should be used. Needless to say, that did not go over too well with the gentleman and mother, and used a bottle of champagne and not a bottle of grape juice. But that was just one of the stories that I heard about the original christening. Angus, he was getting up in age when I remember him, but there are a couple of things that I remember about him because, once you get to be 16 and can drive the car and a few things like that, my mother often would run out of milk, and he was running the dairy, so she'd send me down to the dairy to get milk, and I would always have to go knock on the back door, and Angus was usually in his kitchen sitting in a rocking chair. This is my memory of him. And he kind of scared me. He was quite short, small in stature, but he kind of didn't suffer fools easily. And he was kind of grumpy, I thought, at that young age, a little taciturn, but always pleasant enough. But that's my primary memory. And another memory, he came to my wedding. And I always remember my husband at that time shaking hands with him and thinking he had one of the largest hands and strongest hands he'd ever shaken, especially for a man of his stature. And but he was always very delightful, and as I say, I knew him as Uncle Angus, but technically he was my great uncle. She always downplayed her role. She didn't think it was very important, but she came from a period and time where you your name appeared in the newspaper when you were born, when you got married, and when you died. So when the 75th anniversary was coming about, people wanted to interview her, and she thought, oh, I don't want to do that. But she consented. But it was always kind of an amusing thing. I recall a reporter from the Chronicle Herald came to the home, and I was there, and the reporter was just asking basic questions. How old are you, or who are that? You know, and my mother would give the information, and then she'd say, "Now don't quote me on that." I mean, it was just basic facts. She just said, "Well, I hope that's only going to be like on the very back of the newspaper, that I'm not going to be, you know, right there and a lot talking about me." And of course, there the paper came out, and she was on the front page. Oh my, oh my. Oh, she actually cried about that. But then, you know, she was around for the 75th, and then she was involved with some of the celebrations of Bluenose too. And she actually I think she got, after a while, that she really quite enjoyed being recognized and enjoyed being involved in something that she initially thought she didn't want any part of. But I think she appreciated how her family was recognized, how the Bluenose was recognized, and indeed what you know, quite an item, very important in our history. At the 75th anniversary, she was 94 then. I mean, we're not talking. I'm getting up to this age, and I'm thinking, she did damn well. Once they had the 75th anniversary, and they had the wonderful event at the museum commemorating it, I think she really quite enjoyed it. And so it came just about that same time that they had the 35th anniversary of the building and launching of Bluenose 2. So Mother went, and to get down to the docks at that point, we took her in a wheelchair. She was not too happy to be in a wheelchair, but we didn't want her falling on the rough wharf. And so they had an event right by the Bluenose 2. And they had a birthday cake for the Bluenose. And they asked Mother, as being the oldest woman involved with the original vessel, to cut the cake. And they said they wanted to join her with another lady. And she was the youngest gal crew member of the Bluenose 2 at that time. And this is a picture of her cutting the birthday cake for Bluenose 2. But at that time, they certainly would never, in the original Bluenose days, would never have a woman as a crew member. I think it's a wonderful, iconic part of our history. I mean, they're just beautiful vessels, the schooners. I can't imagine how exciting it must have been to actually race those things. I mean, the number of people involved, and just tacking and jibing, all those sails. I just think, and they're beautiful. I just think it's wonderful that we do have, that we take it seriously and we're proud of it, and because it was a great part of our, particularly Lunenburg's, history with the development of the schooner, and you know how it was sad that it had to go, but it wasn't the most efficient way of fishing. Of course, it was gentler to the fish stocks. The stamp, the original stamp, was considered at the time, and I think still, one of in the world, the philatelic world, one of the most beautiful stamps ever created. And that was the one, the original stamp. Then, of course, subsequently, they used the background of that stamp to honor Bill Ruey. And then they had also issued the stamp of Angus and the Bluenose. And I think as I understand it, the Canada Post will be issuing another one in honor of the 100th anniversary. It's a beautiful stamp. And of course the dime. And the dime, although it wasn't officially recognized as the Bluenose, everybody thought it was. It just was confirmed probably, I think, around 2001 or 2 that the dime, the Canadian dime, was actually the original Bluenose.